My mother harbored hidden prejudices, and she committed an act of deception by intercepting the pregnancy test results intended for my sister, which I had paid for. Her motivation was rooted in her disapproval of the baby's father, who happened to be Hispanic. As you may recall from my previous story, my mother had a history of trying to control my life and behaving as if my house belonged to her. This situation ended in disaster for both her and my spoiled sister when I threatened to expose them. This incident, filled with negative elements, served as a catalyst for me to take action. It inspired me to install cameras both inside and outside my house. My dad had been old-fashioned and didn't see the need for home security cameras. He preferred a quiet evening with his scotch, a cigarette, and a good book, with little interest in television. However, now that I owned his house, I deemed the cameras a necessary upgrade. My girlfriend and I decided to keep this security measure a secret, sharing it only with our closest friends, who were sworn to confidentiality. Several weeks passed without any communication from my sister or mother, aside from what I saw on my sister's social media. She frequently complained about living in our mother's basement, likely making my mother's life miserable in the process. But what happened next took me by surprise. I received a frantic call from my sister, who revealed that her boyfriend was questioning the paternity of her unborn child and was considering leaving unless a paternity test was conducted. She insisted she had always been faithful, though I couldn't help but harbor doubts due to our mother's past infidelity, which had cast doubts on our paternity as well. I suggested they go ahead with the DNA test, and my sister reluctantly agreed. I offered to cover the cost, with the condition that she wouldn't frequently come to me for money or favors. She agreed hastily. I arranged for the test, paying extra for expedited results, though it still would take a few days. I had yet to meet my sister's boyfriend, but when I did, things started to make more sense. He was of Hispanic descent, and my mother, though discreet about it, held prejudiced views, a trait she had inherited from my grandparents. Regrettably, I decided to have a conversation with him, taking him out for a drink. During our time at the pub, he confided in me, revealing that my mother had been whispering in his ear, sowing doubt about my sister's fidelity. He worried that my sister might have cheated or intentionally gotten pregnant to trap him into providing for her, thus avoiding the need to work more than her part-time online sales job required. Sadly, I had reason to believe he was right about the latter. He described my sister as a completely different person when she was away from her mother's influence. Since they had been living in my mother's basement, she had regressed into a more childlike state. Witnessing this behavior in my own home confirmed his claims. I began to realize that if I were to become an uncle, I couldn't let my niece or nephew grow up under my mother's influence. So, I made a life-changing decision. I promised him a job and training at my company, which I now owned, if the DNA results confirmed his paternity. He eagerly accepted, eager to escape living with my mother for any longer than necessary. The day the DNA test results arrived in the mail came quickly. However, my sister called me to inform me that they hadn't arrived in the mail as expected. She explained that she had gone to check the mailbox that day, and when I asked who had collected the mail from the P.O. box, she revealed that it was our mother. This essentially confirmed my suspicion that our mother was attempting to manipulate the situation with my sister's boyfriend. Since I had little trust in my mother and had obtained my sister's consent, I had preemptively arranged for the clinic to send a copy of the DNA results to my address. Sure enough, the results arrived in the mail on the same day. I called my mother and asked if she had taken the DNA test results. The following conversation is my recollection of the exchange, as it wasn't recorded. Me: hello, Mom. I heard that sister's DNA test didn't arrive in the mail today. Mother: oh, yes, but it could be here soon. Did you take it? I know it arrived today, as I paid to have it sent as priority mail. Me: what? How dare you accuse me of such a thing? I would never. Me: okay, then. I guess I'll bring over the backup copy that was sent to me. Mother: backup copy? Yeah, I had one sent to me as well, on the same day, since I paid for it, and sister gave her consent and everything. Me: I guess I'll just call her then, and we'll meet up. Mother: wait, that's not necessary. Click. I hung up the phone and immediately called my sister. I picked her and her boyfriend up from my mother's house and drove them to a local diner. There, we opened the envelope together, and sure enough, the test results were positive. My sister's boyfriend was overjoyed and asked her if she would marry him, to which she enthusiastically said yes multiple times. A part of me, which had harbored some vindictive feelings, was anticipating my mother's reaction when she learned the news. However, what happened next left me genuinely shocked. When I took my sister back home, we found her and her boyfriend's belongings being moved onto the lawn by a few unfamiliar men. My sister had a look on her face that I had never seen before. She was frozen in disbelief. Our mother stormed outside, clutching the DNA test results, which she had earlier claimed never arrived, and began verbally attacking my sister. She berated my sister for her choice of partner, using offensive language and racial slurs. She accused her of making a baby with him and marrying him, all while pointing at my sister's boyfriend, whom she insulted as well. My sister was on her knees in the grass, holding her belly and crying, trying to explain, but our mother demanded that she terminate the pregnancy and leave her house immediately. Then, our mother turned to me and berated me, expressing her disappointment that I hadn't followed her wishes to make the family normal. She used more derogatory language and racial slurs. I gave her a stern glare, and she froze in place, lowering her arm as if about to strike my sister. She let out a loud growl and stormed back into her house, screaming that my sister was now my problem. That night, I arranged for my sister and her boyfriend to stay in a hotel temporarily while a friend of my lawyer, who works in real estate, helped find an apartment for them as soon as possible. Just as promised, I provided my sister's boyfriend with a job. He's starting from the bottom, but he's a quick learner. It will take time, but I'm committed to helping him build a better future. My sister's boyfriend is in a new position, and he's genuinely delighted to work for me. My sister is now in therapy, and my company's insurance covers the costs. She has already shown remarkable maturity compared to her previous behavior. She has stopped referring to our mother as mommy and now speaks about her in a manner similar to mine. Recently, she approached me and expressed her commitment to working harder. She acknowledged that I was right about her previous behavior and that she's determined to be a responsible mother and provider for her child. Her therapist seems to be doing an excellent job. As for my mother, she actually came to my house during broad daylight when no one was home and vandalized several of my front windows with large rocks she had in metal buckets. These rocks had offensive slurs written all over them. Thanks to the cameras I had installed, she was easily caught. I handed the footage to the police the same day. I didn't seek compensation for the damages because the windows were old, and it gave me an opportunity to remodel. However, I did press charges and obtained a restraining order. She is now prohibited from coming within 500 feet of me or my property. She faced significant backlash online after a dash cam in my car captured everything she said and did when she kicked my sister out. This time, I shared the evidence with the rest of the family. My sister also posted a similar story on her Facebook, which further tarnished our mother's image among her side of the family. As a result, she no longer communicates much with any of them. She didn't lose her job, as I didn't take it that far, and she still has about a decade before retirement. However, some of her more vindictive relatives began posting fake negative reviews for her Airbnb, which has likely caused her to lose customers. According to one of the few relatives she still talks to, she's become quite depressed and looks like a shadow of her former self. Was I wrong in my actions? Throughout this entire situation, it seems that our mother believed that my sister was on her side, possibly because she expected her to be part of a plan to take the house from me and give it to my sister. However, when that plan fell apart, everything crumbled. If you're unfamiliar with the house situation, you can refer to the previous video for the full story. In this scenario, the boyfriend was in a tough spot, unsure of my sister's fidelity and forced to live with our mother, making it a miserable situation. It's admirable that I went out of my way to meet with him, listen to his perspective, and offer him a job at my company at the end. It appears that my mother's actions have irreparably damaged her relationships with her 2 children. She has even said, "I don't have children now because she disapproves of the baby and everything that transpired in the first story with me." For some people, the way both of these situations unfolded would be unforgivable, even within their own family. So, I wouldn't be surprised if neither of us ever has a relationship with our mother again. Please share your thoughts down below. Do you believe I was wrong in my actions? Am I the one at fault for making my stepson walk on his engagement night? My stepson, Rowan, who is 23 years old, recently got engaged to his fiancée. She comes from a highly conservative family, and they both have decided not to live together until after they are married. They are on good terms, and I have a good relationship with them as well. To say that her parents are overly enthusiastic about the engagement would be an understatement. We held the engagement party at a restaurant, and I drove my wife, Rowan, and his best friend, Jack, since Rowan's car needed some repairs. The party went quite well, and everyone headed home. On our way back, I had to make a quick stop at the store to pick up something for our 16-year-old son. Rowan, Jack, and I waited in the car while I went into the store. As I returned, I noticed a young lady walking towards us, as her car was parked next to mine in the parking lot. Rowan and Jack started making inappropriate comments and advances towards her, which left me appalled. Jack even made a crude remark about her appearance, and Rowan joined in, saying something disrespectful. I immediately told them to stop, but Rowan responded sarcastically, saying something like, "Relax, I was just giving her a compliment." I bet you don't get many of those often. The lady, clearly uncomfortable, quickly got into her car. I started arguing with Rowan about his behavior and lectured him for acting this way on the night of his engagement. He argued back, bringing up something about my car, and I lost my temper. I told him to get out of the car immediately, and when Jack got involved, I made the same demand of him. My wife returned during this heated exchange, and she joined the argument, insisting that I couldn't make her son walk home from his engagement party. I retorted that he couldn't be harassing other women on the way back from his engagement party, regardless of the occasion. I gave her the choice to either stay or get in the car, and she decided to stay with me. I then drove off, leaving Rowan behind. He didn't come home that night, and my wife blamed me for the situation, claiming that I had escalated it unnecessarily over what she saw as typical behavior for boys his age. She believed I shouldn't have made him walk home on the night of his engagement and demanded that I apologize to him. So, was I wrong for kicking him and his friend out of the car on his engagement night? Regardless of the night, why would anyone do such a thing to someone anytime? I mean, if this is how he behaves in front of his own father in the car, imagine what he and his friend might do when they think no one is watching or restraining them. Perhaps they were intoxicated due to the engagement party, or maybe Rowan wasn't thinking clearly because of his future wife's conservative family. In any case, I couldn't simply stand by and let such behavior slide. Even if my actions seemed extreme, it was necessary to address the situation. My wife, however, might feel differently because she didn't hear Rowan's comments directly and might see my reaction as an overreaction based on secondhand information. Nonetheless, I couldn't condone such behavior, especially considering the potential vulnerability and fear the young lady might have felt in that situation. She isn't pressuring him into parenthood if the baby isn't his. The issue here is that when he discussed it with me, he also mentioned wanting to conduct a maternity test to confirm that the baby belongs to her. Kara is visibly pregnant, and we are well aware of her pregnancy. She even did a maternity photo shoot and shared it on social media, leaving no doubt about her pregnancy. We have seen her in person as well, and it's evident that she's pregnant. However, Dan has doubts regarding the baby's biological mother. I tried explaining to him that this isn't how biology works. Unless she underwent some form of embryo implantation, she is unquestionably the mother. She works as a waitress, earning minimum wage along with tips, making it highly unlikely that she could afford embryo implantation. Moreover, the idea of going to such lengths just to trap a man who was unemployed and still living with his parents at the age of 32 is quite absurd. Despite multiple explanations from me, his mom, and our other friends about how pregnancy and biology function, he still insists on a maternity test. He even accused me of lacking an understanding of biology, despite my extensive studies to become an autopsy pathologist, which have involved years of biology classes. I grew frustrated and called him an unreasonable idiot, suggesting that he contact me again when he regains his logical thinking. Since then, he's been bombarding my phone with messages, and he managed to convince a few of our friends to do the same, all claiming that I am insensitive and that he's simply stressed about the prospect of becoming a father. So, am I the one at fault for calling my friend an idiot? It appears that he might suspect infidelity on her part, which is why he's considering a maternity test. If he hasn't donated his sperm to any banks, the possibility of another biological father arises, unless she has been involved with someone else. The maternity test is essentially being present during the birth, as others have pointed out. If the baby emerges from her, she passes the test. It seems like he's going through a stressful time, and his judgment might be clouded by anxiety. However, in this situation, he's not thinking rationally. What would you do if you were in my shoes, having to explain this to a potentially anxious father-to-be? Is my reaction justified, Or am I the one in the wrong for calling him an idiot? In today's HistoReddit video, we delved into a gripping story of a friend facing a challenging situation involving a potential paternity test. As we explored the scenario, we discovered the complexities surrounding a maternity test and the doubts it can raise. Join the discussion by sharing your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more fascinating Reddit stories, make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss an intriguing tale from the Reddit universe. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more captivating content on HistoReddit.